Members, we now come to votes in the education sector, and the question is that Vote Education Review Office and Vote Tertiary Education stand part of the schedules. I call Tracy Martin.
Kia ora, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Mr.
I've already
Chair.
called, I should have called the Chair. I've called Tracy Martin.
Kia ora. Minister Parata made an announcement that this budget provided an extra $8.9 million for the intensive wraparound service. This amount included $1.5 million for the specialist equipment and technology. So that means that the actual amount in this budget increase for our most vulnerable students is $7.4 million. And this amount is spread over 4 years, so that works out to be $1.5 million per year. The announcement went on to say that this would correlate to an expansion of the intensive wraparound service to an extra 50 students. This would make the capped number of students able to access this total fund up to 335 throughout the whole of New Zealand. No more than 335 students with the highest and most complex behavioural and learning needs can access this funding in New Zealand. So if the Minister's numbers are to be believed, and an extra $1.85 million per year will support another 50 students, that works out to be an average of 37,000 students per year. But hang on a minute. The Minister's currently out in the media telling the public of New Zealand, and I quote, the average cost of providing intensive localised support through IWS is $27,000. So which number is to be believed, the budget document or the Minister's statement, as she tries to justify her desire to close New Zealand's only single-sex girls' residential high-needs school in New Zealand? But let's take the budget figures to be on the safe side. This budget of $37,000 per student per year under this document, what does it pay for? Well, if a family is very lucky and after 2 years of trying, after 60+ hours of paperwork, if you manage to get through the IWS committee, which won't make its application criteria public so as to avoid parents and schools tailoring their applications to meet their secret criteria, if you get through all that, what support does your extremely high needs child get? Well, this amount of money pays for, one hopes, full support for your student for the 6 hours that they are at school. Now, in this budget is an amount of, according to the Minister's own figures in her press release, an amount of just under $2 million for Salisbury School. The Minister points out that this current roll of Salisbury School is 9 girls. There is, in fact, 10 girls at Salisbury today. So using the Minister's number, this equates to $200,000 per student at their current numbers. However, the Minister neglects to tell the New Zealand public of the sinking lid she and her government have forced on this school, this parents and these girls. If this Minister and this government had allowed parents to apply directly to Salisbury rather than using the IWS committee as a roadblock to artificially lower enrolment numbers, even up to the 2015 cap of 30 students, this figure would drop to approximately $66,000 per student. Not for 6 hours of teacher aid time, but for 24 hours, 7 days a week, highly specialised, highly qualified teachers, social workers, caregivers in a suitable and safe environment. Now let's break down those figures. Budget figures say that the cost of the IWS equates to $37,000 per annum per student. If we take this amount and divide it by 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, for 41 school weeks in a year, we get a spend of $30 per hour. There are teacher aides all over the country sitting down in shock that they're getting paid $30 an hour. Let's take the amount of $66,000 per annum per student, which is the cost of this government's would be the cost if the government removed the sinking lid on Salisbury. If we take this amount and divide it by 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 41 school weeks of the year, we get a spend of $9.60 per hour. But let's be generous. Let's do the same equation but use the highly inflated, manipulated dollar figure used by the Minister. Let's take the $200,000 per student at Salisbury. Let's divide that by 41 weeks, then divide this by 168 hours per week as Salisbury provides 24/7 education and care of these young women. And what we get is an hourly rate of $29 per hour. So using the budget's numbers, Salisbury School is cheaper to deliver its specialist care than the current IWS program. And yet the Minister continues to use those numbers to try and persuade the New Zealand public that it cannot be afforded. I want to switch over to another little topic around the $11 billion that this government, inside this budget, quite correctly says that it is spending on education. I want to make sure that the taxpayers understand that $68,243,000 of this money is being paid out to integrated school proprietors for them to modernise their private assets. This funding is being recorded as being used to assist them to expand their privately owned network.
Get on.